Welcome to your Feeding America West Michigan Mobile Pantry Training. My name is Shay Crick, and I am the agency specialist who will be conducting this training with you today. The purpose of this training is to give you the tools you need to host a successful mobile food pantry. Mobile food pantries are trucks loaded with fresh product that is meant to feed our neighbors in need. The truck brings fresh fruits, vegetables, and even dairy items to a host agency, otherwise known as a community partner, for distribution to those in need. By hosting a mobile food pantry, you are not only serving the members of your community who are struggling with hunger, but you are also building a strong relationship and foundation for community engagement. The first step to ensuring your mobile distribution is a success is having the right tools and supplies. When deciding if your site would be a good candidate to host a mobile food pantry, consider if your site meets the basic requirements. The best sites have a large, ideally paved area that will allow space for the truck bringing the food, the tables that display it, and a place for people to wait in line while they receive food. As a general rule of thumb, the more space, the better. And although it is not required, it is a great asset to have a site where you can move the distribution inside during cold or inclement weather. Feeding America will provide the truck, driver, food, and all the tools it takes to move the pallets of product around. By agreeing to host a mobile food pantry, you are agreeing to provide certain supplies that make the distribution of the food possible. We suggest 8 to 12 tables will be needed to display the food and register recipients. Food service gloves will need to be worn by individuals handling the food. Waterless hand sanitizer for cleanliness and box cutters are suggested but not required. We will also suggest you collect grocery bags prior to your distribution. These will be used to bag bulk produce items into family-sized portions. The last and most critical tool in your arsenal will be your volunteers. The presence or absence of volunteers can largely determine the outcome of your distribution. We suggest you have between 12 and 20 volunteers. You can't have too many, and many hands will make light work. Once you have decided to host a mobile food pantry, you will need to schedule the date and time of your distribution with us. By using the online scheduling form, which is located on our website under the Agency tab as Mobile Scheduling Form, you will be able to submit multiple dates on the same form to allow you to schedule future trucks in advance. We advise you to do this. Our schedule fills up quickly, and it is best to at least get proposed dates on the schedule. Once the request is submitted, you will be contacted by a member of the agency relations team to either confirm you've been placed on the schedule or to discuss an alternative option if the date you have requested is not available. After your date has been confirmed, it is a good idea to advertise when and where it will be and begin to line up volunteers to help you. You should tailor your outreach to the type of area you live in. For example, if you're located in a small rural area, word of mouth, flyers advertising your distribution, and posting it on a sign at a local business may be sufficient to let people know about your efforts. However, if you're in a large urban setting, you may also need to employ the internet, social media, and other agencies in addition to more traditional methods to help get the word out. It is always our hope that once you become an agency partner and host a mobile food pantry, that you will continue to host them on a regular basis. One of the most frequently asked questions we get is, how do I recruit and retain quality volunteers to help me? The best way to recruit volunteers is to mobilize the members of your community. A great place to start is with your local schools. Many high school students are eager to give back to their communities, and in many cases, they must build up a certain amount of community service hours as a requirement for graduation. By targeting schools, sports teams, academic clubs, you can have access to a ready pool of eager volunteers. Other possible places to find volunteers are local churches and businesses. Let people know what your organization is doing and why. You'll be surprised how many people want to help you. Again, we suggest that you have 12 to 20 committed volunteers to help during the day of your distribution. You should instruct volunteers to dress appropriately for the weather. Closed-toed, closed-heeled shoes are best to ensure that feet are protected from any type of equipment. Remind your volunteers to bring water and sunscreen during hot weather or to wear warm, dry clothes for winter. The roles of the volunteers are very important. As the coordinator, you are the person in charge. It is okay for you to assign your volunteers specific duties and roles. It will help your distribution run smoothly. For example, have certain volunteers assigned to the setup and distribution of the food. These people will be responsible for setting the food on tables, bagging it into individual portions, and physically handing it to the clients in need. It's also a good idea to have designated volunteers as carriers, people who can help carry boxes or push carts for individuals who may have a hard time lifting their own food. Another volunteer role is registration. We recommend that you have 2 people signing in clients during your distribution. Whether you are using the paper form or electronic sign-in, it shouldn't matter. 2 people or more is the best idea. Occasionally, you will have volunteers helping out at your distribution who are also in need of food assistance. This is okay, but not an ideal situation, as it can present some unique challenges to the distribution process. There are 2 simple ways that this can be handled to avoid the appearance of preferential treatment for volunteers. One option is to let recipient volunteers help with setting up the distribution and then let them join the line. This way, they can sign in and get food in the same order as everyone else. A second option could be to mix them into the line slowly. For example, every 10 people in line, let 1 recipient volunteer go. 10 more people from the line and another volunteer. Recipient volunteers must sign the mandatory sign-in sheet like everyone else. They are not allowed to go first in line at any time. They are also not allowed to set food aside for themselves for a later time. Be kind in assisting these people, but also be cautious and aware of the way you handle this situation and how it is perceived by other recipients in line. The weather is unpredictable, but it can be managed. In the hot summer months, remember how temperature affects the food that you are handling, as well as the people that you are serving. On hot days, keep cold food shaded if possible and covered with freezer blankets that will be provided by Feeding America West Michigan. Encourage recipients to bring water and to sit in shaded areas while they wait. Keep an eye out for any signs of heat stroke or heat exhaustion. In the colder winter months, make sure the area of your distribution is plowed and salted. This will allow the truck access and prevent slip and fall accidents. Also, encourage and remind your volunteers and recipients to dress appropriately for the weather. Watch for anyone who seems to be getting too cold or is having a negative reaction to the weather. In any situation, never hesitate to call 911 for help. It is important to note that we will only cancel a distribution if the logistics team has determined the roads are impassable. If you choose to cancel your distribution, we ask that you do so with a minimum 24 hours notice. This will allow us to repurpose the food that we set aside for you. Failure to give proper 24-hour notice can result in the charge of a delivery fee to your account. On the day of the distribution, your driver will arrive 30 minutes prior to your scheduled time of distribution. It is important that you and your volunteers are ready on site with the materials that you needed to get started. The driver will want to know where you would like the truck parked. They are happy to move the truck several times for you as long as you are there to assist them. Make sure you block off areas for parking or no parking if need be. The safety of our recipients and volunteers is always a priority, and by ensuring that cars and people are kept separate, you will help prioritize their safety. As the coordinator, you will find this process goes much smoother if you assign volunteers specific tasks. Assign several to set up tables. Assign some people to specific stations. Tell the driver where you would like the pallets of food. We recommend heavier items, watermelon, potatoes, and cabbage, for example, at the end of the line so clients do not have to carry them as long. Some volunteers may need to bag bulk produce down to family-sized portions. Make sure that you set people aside to do that. Do not register recipients more than 1 hour prior to distribution. This will cause people to arrive earlier and earlier to your future distributions and can cause other logistical problems to your site. Register and serve everyone who attends in the order in which they arrive. You may not close your distribution to the public. Safety is the utmost priority for everyone involved. Cars should never block lot entrances or exits. Recipients should always be waiting away from traffic and never have a line crossing any type of traffic flow. Keep sites free of slip and fall hazards and make sure that the parking lot is safe. Adults must be present to monitor young children to ensure that they are also safe. As always, if you ever feel unsafe, do not hesitate to contact 911. We take great pride in the food that we distribute to our neighbors being the best possible quality it can be. Part of continuing this is keeping the food safe. Food should be kept 6 inches or more off the ground. Even if you put food in boxes, those boxes should be kept off the ground as well. Never repack ready-to-eat food. Pop-Tarts, for example, come in foil packets inside boxes. These boxes cannot be opened and split down. The whole box must be given out. When volunteers are handling fresh produce, food service gloves must be worn. Control the amount of time food sits out and monitor the weather and temperature of the product that you have to avoid food spoiling or becoming unsafe. Avoid cross-contamination of products by giving each item its own space on the table. This will maintain its quality and its flavor. The hardest part for many agencies is deciding how much of an item to hand out to each family. The easiest way to do this is to look at the menu of items that will be sent to you the day before your distribution. Each item will have a weight next to it. Divide that weight by the number of recipients your truck is meant to serve, and this will give you a place to start. You can always err on the side of caution and hand out things sparingly to begin with. Then tell recipients that once everyone has been served, they may go through the line a second time. For case-counted products, you can estimate the number of cases you have and divide them by the number of families you plan to serve. Equal treatment should always be strived for, but if one family receives salad and another receives green beans, they each received a vegetable, so equal treatment has been achieved. Before you begin handing out food, gather your volunteers together and remind them who is assigned to each table and how much of each item to give out. This simple step goes a long way to ensuring a smooth distribution. It is also a good idea to let your recipients know you are getting ready to start and to remind them to sign in. Also, thank them for coming. Asking for help can be difficult and takes a lot for people. By keeping the atmosphere friendly and light, you are helping people retain their dignity. Do not start serving food early, even if you are ready. If the advertised start time of your distribution is 4:00 p.m., for example, then start at 4:00 p.m. Recipients may be coming from far away, and if you start early, there may not be food left for those who came at the advertised time. Do not let volunteers go first, ever. Please refer back to the suggested techniques for recipient volunteers if you have questions. Make sure that everybody signs in and the mood is upbeat and happy. When you are finished serving, the driver will need a signature acknowledging you have received the food. Occasionally, you may have leftovers. If so, let the recipients go through the line again. It is also a good idea to partner with a local food pantry that is nearby. The food pantry can be on call to come and pick up the leftovers if there are any, which can then be used to serve the community. The food pantry must have approved storage with Feeding America West Michigan and must come to the distribution to pick up the leftovers. The driver will be unable to deliver them. Make sure you store your sign-in sheets for 3 years and keep them confidential. Consider using electronic record keeping for an easy way to keep your records. If you're interested in electronic sign-in, please contact our agency relations team for more details. Often when the last person has been served, the volunteers feel it is time to leave. However, there is still work to be done. It is always appreciated for several volunteers to stay and help our driver clean up the cardboard and move the pallets back to the truck. Make sure that you thank your volunteers for helping and your clients for coming. Most of the food that will come on your mobile food pantry is donated. While this means it is not going to be grocery store quality, it will be healthy and good to eat. Because much of the food is either fresh or donated, some spoilage can be expected. For example, on a 5,000-pound mobile, which is designed to serve 50 pounds of food to 100 families, It is within the normal range to have 50 to 150 pounds of spoilage. Because of this, we often send several hundred pounds of additional product to make up for anything you may not be able to serve. The only time a credit for spoiled food will be issued is if the weight of the spoilage is greater than the weight of the bonus pounds. If something is questionable to you, take pictures of the product and return it to the truck. The pictures can be emailed to the agency relations team where the product can be assessed for credit. Occasionally, you will get a pallet of product that is marked as assorted produce. This means there are all manner of produce items in the boxes. The best way to display and distribute this product is to open the top layer of boxes and lay like items together on the table. Let clients choose 1 to 3 items, depending on the size of the truck and number of people you serve, of their choice from this table. As the table depletes, refill it. Sometimes an individual who comes to get food from your distribution will insist on giving a donation for the food they receive. Tell them if they wish to do this, it must be in an envelope and given anonymously after the distribution or directly to Feeding America West Michigan. It is important to never take money from a client at a distribution. No one can be required or made to feel that a donation is necessary. If you do have leftovers, this is when a partnership with an outside food pantry comes in handy. If you need to know which ones in your area are approved by Feeding America West Michigan, the agency relations team is happy to assist you at www.feedingamericawestmichigan.com.